And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, in health news, Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, successfully got a liver transplant, so she'll be ready for trial this April.
Wait, now that was her excuse not to show up in court.
They had to push back the dates a little.
So what is she going to do if she doesn't want to show up to court anymore? Say that she needs another organ?
Well, how quickly can you blow out the new liver?
Well, I would imagine it doesn't take long. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the congressman representing much of Northern California, rural Northern California. You can follow him on X at Tom Mclintock. Congressman Tom Mclintock, welcome.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for stopping by this afternoon.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So Gavin Newsom has released his new biography or autobiography, I guess it is, assuming he wrote it, to members of the press, and they've written about it. And the book includes a number of tidbits that I don't think really surprise many of us here in California. But one of the tidbits, I honestly have to say, did catch me by surprise. And that is that Gavin Newsom admits that he has modeled his life after Tony Robbins, the self-help guru from late night television. That according to Gavin Newsom, he had a rough childhood and he didn't have a lot of self-confidence. And watching Tony Robbins, after watching Tony Robbins, he decided that this is the guy I'm going to model my life after.
Okay, well, I have to tell you, I'm a fan of Tony Robbins. I am not a fan of Gavin Newsom. I frankly don't see any comparison between the two of them.
Yeah, something definitely went haywire there. But Newsom clearly thinks that this book and putting these stories out there, although he didn't mention a lot of different things or didn't go into detail about a lot of different things that we know have wrecked the state of California because he can't run on his record. If he would run on his record in California, he wouldn't make it out of the Iowa caucuses. So he's trying to create this image of someone who had one parent that came from the wrong side of the tracks, one parent who came from privilege, and he's all things to all people, and he is the savior of the Democratic Party.
Well, if that's the case, the Democratic Party is in very big trouble. And I think the biggest problem that he's going to have is explaining how he and years of leftist policies took the most beautiful, wealthiest, most prosperous state in the country and turned it into a socialist hellhole where millions of people are now fleeing from to states with lower taxes, better schools, lower regulations. I mean, what Gavin Newsom and the left have done to California, they've done wherever they've seized control of a jurisdiction for more than a decade or so. You see exactly the same pathologies. You see sky-high taxes, failing schools, rampant crime, rampant homelessness, basic necessities and unaffordable prices for basic necessities like housing and water and electricity and gasoline, and ultimately failing businesses and fleeing families. You've seen the left destroy our most beautiful cities like San Francisco, Baltimore, Detroit, St. Louis, you name it. And you've seen them destroy the most beautiful and prosperous states that we had in the country of the 20th century, California, Illinois, and New York. So that's the question that people are going to have to answer as we approach these elections. And the votes they cast are going to determine their quality of life for generations to come.
What's wild to me is that Gavin Newsom never accepts responsibility for anything. Where, for example, we raised $100 million in fire aid for the fire victims in Pacific Palisades and Altadena. And you talk to the fire victims, I've had many of them on this program, and they say that they've received none of that money. When they call that organization, they cannot get a call returned. The money did not go to the fire victims, even though they advertised that it would. They put the fire victims on the telethon that motivated people to whip out their checkbooks and write checks to the cause. And then the money ends up going to all of these non-for-profits that don't have anything to do with helping the fire victims. It's akin to what's going on right now in Minnesota with the graft that's going on Tim Walz's watch. But Gavin Newsom says, well, hey, I'm the governor of California. This is a non-for-profit. I don't have anything to do with it. Don't ask me any questions. What kind of leadership is that when you have someone who's at the top of the food chain, at the top of the pyramid? You have a tragedy like this, an avoidable tragedy, by the way, because now that we're learning that it was arson that started it from an anti-Trump lunatic, and then the city got into a fight with the state over who had jurisdiction, and they just decided to leave the fire still going, and then the winds came up, and the mayor was in Africa, and no water in the fire hydrants. And then for the governor to take a step back and go, well, it's not my fault that none of the money is going to the fire victims. Stop asking me questions. Stop blaming me. Blame someone else.
Well, I don't think that's going to get him very far because people are going to be asking fundamental questions. You know, it was Abraham Lincoln who said, the voters are everything. If the voters get their backsides too close to the fire, they'll just have to sit on the blisters a while. I mean, that's a painful experience, but it's a learning experience, and then they usually come away with it sadder but wiser, and I think that's what's happening in California right now. It must be. It's both a blessing and a curse in a democracy, but it's always true. You get the government you vote for. And what has happened to California is not some random act of God. It is acts of government determined by the votes that Californians have cast in so many past elections. I mean, you look at this beautiful state with everything going for it, the most equitable climate in the entire Western Hemisphere, the most bountiful resources anywhere in the continental United States. We're poised on the Pacific Rim in a position to dominate world trade. And yet, look at the census data. In the last decade, 2.5 million more people have fled California than have come to California. That is a dramatic reversal of the trends that we saw throughout the 20th century when people were flocking to the opportunities of this state. And if you ask the census data where are people going to, the most popular destinations for California expatriates are Nevada and Arizona. Now, you tell me what conceivable act of God could turn California into a less desirable place for people to live in the middle of the Nevada nuclear test range. I can't think of one. Acts of God can't do that much damage, but acts of government can, and they have. And that is a choice that we make at the ballot box. And unfortunately, Gavin Newsom is simply an instrument of that choice. And we've got to be a lot more careful in the future if we don't want to continue down the path we've been on.
To that point, Gavin Newsom is prohibited by state term limit laws from running for governor again. And California will have an opportunity to select a new governor in the upcoming election. We have a primary in June, then the general in November. And so far, with the exception of Matt Mahan, the mayor of San Jose, all of the Democratic candidates who are running for governor are running almost exclusively on federal issues. They're running against Donald Trump. They're running against ICE. They're running on issues of international consequence, what's going on right now in Ukraine or whatever. And they will not talk about issues that face people here in California. Now, if you're governor, you don't have a say over what goes on in Washington, D.C. You don't have a vote in the House. You don't have a vote in the Senate. You're not running the executive branch of the federal government. You are the governor of California. And they seem disinterested in state issues. It seems like they haven't thought about these things. They haven't read about these things. They don't have any ideas on how to fix any of these things. And when the subject comes up, they almost dismiss it as a distraction of what's truly important, which is hating on Donald Trump. And so far, they're getting away with it. So far, it seems like those are the only subjects that they talk about. But it just seems nuts to me that you would run for an office that you don't have any interest in the subject matter that the office has influence over.
Well, the national issues, basically hating on Donald Trump, certainly motivates the radical Democratic base, which has shifted more and more to the left in recent years. But I think it is going to hit a sour note with a lot of independents who are asking the fundamental question, and that is, do I want to continue to live under these conditions of chronic water shortages in the most water-rich regions of the country, of rampant crime and homelessness? I mean, look at the amount of money that's been squandered on the homeless, and all we get is more of them because the policies that the left offers us do not work. They never have. And again, you can see very consistent results wherever they're applied. We're about to get a graduate level course in the failures of socialism from New York. But California is not far behind, and people are going to have to, again, it's a very simple question. What path do you want to take? Do you want to continue down the road we're on that has turned the most beautiful state in the country into the most impoverished and resource scarce regions of the country? Or do you want to restore the California that we used to take for granted a generation ago when we had much lower taxes than we pay today, and yet we had the finest highway system in the country. We had the finest university system in the world. We had the finest public school system, certainly in the country. We were producing electricity and water so cheaply, some communities weren't even metering their water supply, and there was a discussion over getting rid of electricity meters because it was becoming so cheap. That's not some fantasy. That's the state we lived in until the left began to take it over in the 1970s. And we can get back to that state. It's the same state right under our feet, but we've got to change the policies. And so far, the people of California have chosen to continue down this road. I can't imagine them continuing down much further.
Are you concerned about the Olympics? And I say that because the condition of Los Angeles right now is appalling. There is trash everywhere. There is graffiti everywhere. Copper wire is being stolen out of neighborhoods, out of the telephone lines and everything else in neighborhoods all over the region. Neighborhoods are in the dark. Neighborhoods are without internet. The city says that in certain areas they won't even replace it because it'll just get stolen again. And what's the point of replacing it? Including on the 3rd Street Bridge, by the way, which is a bridge that we just spent $1 gazillion on, that's supposed to be one of these bridges that attracts people to come here from other parts of the country to see the beautiful bridge. Well, the bridge is in the dark because the copper wire all gets stolen. The copper wire gets stolen on public transit. It shuts public transit down. We certainly have retail theft that has the shampoo behind the bulletproof glass. I can't imagine what the world is going to say when they come to Los Angeles and see the city in its current condition. And I don't know how much influence the federal government can have over what goes on in Los Angeles as it pertains to the Olympics, but there needs to be adult supervision because the people who are in charge of the city right now don't seem to care. And I don't think they're aware of what kind of embarrassment is coming our way if things don't change quickly.
Well, I mean, the embarrassment is the least of our problems. It's the condition we're living in day by day. That's the problem. And again, that's a policy choice that we've made through the votes we cast. It's not that complicated. Cicero has said that he didn't. He says, "I don't blame Caesar. I blame those who cheered for Caesar." Well, the politicians who have made these bad choices have been elected by voters. Voters ultimately have got to change those decisions at the ballot box.
The SEIU is promoting a wealth confiscation tax for the November ballot that has already caused over $1 trillion of wealth to leave the state of California. Those who are leaving the state of California aren't doing so quietly. They're explaining just exactly why they're leaving California for other states. There was a new poll that was just released that said that if this initiative gets the number of signatures that they need to make the ballot, it would likely pass. What do you make of that poll?
If that's true, then the people of California still have not learned their lesson. Unfortunately, I think as people wise up, there comes a point where it's just a lot easier to move to another state, and that's what people are doing. So you're seeing the people who are leaving California know why they're leaving. It's up to those of us who are staying in California to change the course of the state. And again, the only way we can do that is at the ballot box. Arthur Laffer's often said that there's nothing in this world that is more portable than money and rich people. You raise taxes beyond a certain point, capital flees. And up until now, it's been the middle class that's been hollowed out. I have a friend who advises companies on relocating out of California, and his rule of thumb is if you make under $50,000, your taxes are relatively low, and there's lots of free stuff. If you make over $500,000, well, then you can afford the nice weather. But if you make anywhere between $50,000 and $500,000, you need to get out while you still can, and that's what the middle class has been doing. But now it's that top 1% that is fleeing the state, and that top 1% pays about half of all California income taxes. So it only takes a few of those people to relocate out of state before you have a major negative impact on your state revenues, and I'm afraid that's what has now been set in motion. I remember a story of a group of business people being called together so that Jerry Brown could sell them on his latest tax increase proposal. And one of them said, Governor, I don't think you understand. You raised my taxes last year, and before you raised my taxes, I used to give you $5 million a year. When you raised my taxes, I now give you zero. Do you understand that? And I was told Brown looked completely confused. And this guy says, and don't think I have deprived myself of my beautiful view of the Pacific Ocean. I've simply rearranged my schedule so that I'm out of the state more than half of the year. So it's not that hard for money and rich people to leave inhospitable environments, and that's what they're doing in California, and that's going to be felt big time as our revenues implode in the days ahead.
Well, and it also shows you who calls the shots in Sacramento, because the governor, at least on paper, says that he's opposed to this initiative. He does not want to be labeled as a tax and spender when he runs for president in 2028. The SEIU wants it. In a one-party state, if you're the governor, you can tell just about any interest group you want, don't do that or else. And either he did that and they called his bluff, or he is so out to lunch running for president that no one is minding the store, and the SEIU is calling the shots.
Well, it really doesn't matter because he has been backing such policies for many, many years. He might be now opposing this one because this is the one that's really going to break the back of California. But these are the same policies that he has advocated during his entire career: higher taxes, more and more burdensome regulations. I many years ago represented Tahoe in Congress, and my first trip up there, I met with the Tahoe Chamber, and I said, well, just to break the ice, I said, well, tell me what it's like to do business in a community that's divided between two states. And one of them quickly responds, oh, it's very simple here in Tahoe. On the Nevada side, they ask, how can we help you? On the California side, they ask, how can we stop you? And you might notice all of the economic development in Tahoe is largely on the Nevada side for that very reason. So I mean, again, it's not just Gavin Newsom. It is all of the politicians who have imposed these policies of higher and higher taxes, of more and more burdensome regulation that has absolutely broken the back of the California economy that used to be the strongest in the country. I mean, it wasn't long ago when we would always run well below the national unemployment level. Now we are leading the country in unemployment as jobs flee the state and as families flee the state.
California Congressman Tom Mclintock. You can follow him on X at Tom Mclintock. Congressman, keep fighting the good fight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, John. You too. Take care.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, on Friday, we're going to be eating some seafood in Long Beach.
Oh, those poke nachos. I can't wait. I love Gladstones in Long Beach. You love Gladstones in Long Beach. And we're all going to be at Gladstones in Long Beach this Friday from noon to 3. We're heading to Gladstones in Long Beach for our next live broadcast, and you are invited. Come enjoy the great food, good vibes, and a fun afternoon by the water. John Sangmeister is going to take care of you. We'll have special guests like our friend Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. She'll tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13. As we have been telling you, the courts have made it easier to raise your taxes, so come by and sign the petition to save Prop 13. The deadline is coming fast. We need all those signatures by February 17th. You can fill it out right now, saveprop13.com. Come hang out with us, grab a bite, and be part of the broadcast. It's the John Phillips Show, live at Gladstones in Long Beach this Friday from noon to 3.
And right now it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
And Randy.
Well, the first one has a happy ending of sorts.
Not that kind of story. But here's what happened. Everyone on social media was making a big fuss about what they thought was ICE busting some teenager. Turns out, no, it was the cops going after a smash and grabber that drove through a jewelry store in Anaheim last month.
And because it was Orange County, a suspect is in custody.
For more, here's ABC 7 Eyewitness News in Los Angeles.
Video exploding on social media this weekend of a teen being punched and taken down by officers. It had many commenting that federal agents need to be stopped, but these were not federal agents.
How many people post things on social media without ever paying attention to what the video is or what the article is?
I just saw some jackass flight attendant post something on social media claiming that ICE was at the airport. And now they're going to cause all kinds of problems at the airport, and people are going to miss their flights.
But undercover local police officers, they had been tracking that teen who was wanted for a violent crime.
I don't know if you saw this story. It was last week, but out in Linwood at this shopping center, there was a TSA agent eating dinner. Somebody thought they were ICE, so they called the Rapid Response Network to start protesting over a TSA agent.
This is organized. This is as if every dumb person on planet Earth got on the same text message thread.
Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter has more on that viral video and the surprising story behind it. Leanne.
Mark, that is right. That teen at the center of more than one viral video. The most recent showing what many thought, including witnesses themselves, was him being detained by ICE agents. But Anaheim police speaking out tonight saying it was their undercover officers who were taking him into custody, all because of a smash and grab robbery captured on camera.
Just your good old-fashioned California-born criminal.
And if it's a smash and grab robbery, what do you think the odds are it also involves a stolen Kia?
Oh,
A dramatic scene as a
Somebody screaming, "Why did you hit him like that?" after the cops arrested him for carjacking someone.
Yeah, there's a member of Mensa.
scene as a 17-year-old suspect attempts to carjack.
Oh, of course, he's a juvenile.
Seen as a 17-year-old suspect attempts to carjack a vehicle before being punched and taken down. The tense arrest unfolding in Linwood on Friday. Angry witness.
Once again, Linwood.
They're making the news a lot lately.
Angry witnesses moving in on the officers thinking they were ICE agents. But this was not an immigration detention. According to Anaheim police, it was the arrest of a wanted smash and grab suspect. The entire crime captured on cameras. The crew of thieves cleared out classic jewelers in Anaheim Hills last month.
Oh, I remember this one.
The suspects smashing an SUV through the door before launching their ambush, grabbing everything in the cases as well as the owner's weapon.
So the person that the protesters wanted to protect from arrest was the guy who drove an SUV into a jewelry store.
Well, the people they're trying to protect in Minnesota are the people who have been convicted of all kinds of crimes who are being sent back to their country of origin. It makes no sense.
I said, I have a gun. Get out. I have a gun. They saw my gun on the counter.
Why weren't you holding it?
See, this is a teachable moment. If you're going to try to use a gun to chase out a bad guy, you better have it in your hand like Katie did with the knife.
They grabbed it.
The thieves escaping in 2 vehicles with a gun and $750,000 worth of custom jewels, but their getaway came to a crashing end in 2 separate collisions a few miles away in Fullerton after being spotted by Anaheim police who were following along.
This is not their first time doing it. By the looks in the video that I've seen, this is someone that had a plan. They attempted that plan, but the outstanding police work from the Anaheim Police Department was definitely not going to let that plan go through.
Wasn't their first time, so this kid's 17. When did he start bumping off jewelry stores? At 13?
Maybe when he was in kindergarten.
7 of the 8 suspects were arrested, the last one on the run until undercover officers cornered him in Linwood.
I love knowing that Anaheim PD did not give up on this guy. They've been chasing this guy for weeks.
No, you have to be aggressive if you're going to catch these guys. Otherwise, they're going to get away and do it again.
Also, should we just point out the obvious? Crime committed at Orange County, but John, where was the criminal from?
L.A. County, of course.
Yep.
Detectives say a gun, ski mask, and burglary tools were all found in his vehicle.
You don't say.
Anaheim police say they tried to use a taser on...
By the way, 17 years old, committing all these kinds of crimes, has burglary tools in his car. I think we got to lock up his parents, too. They should have never procreated.
How many brothers and sisters do you think he has?
Anaheim police say they tried to use a taser on that teen first, but they say it didn't work. Detectives also say that he was not only wanted for that smash and grab robbery, but they say he also had a felony warrant out for his arrest out of LA County.
Sounds like a real winner.
Reporting live, Leon Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
How about that? He had a felony warrant out for his arrest in LA County before the smash and grab, but it was Anaheim PD that got him.
Well, fortunately, the DA in Orange County, Todd Spitzer, will be the one who gets to prosecute him, so LA can't screw that up too.
There you go. Yet another fantastic, outstanding teenager in Southern California.
And Randy, it's time to reopen the blotter.
It's happened yet again.
I see. Time for the California Crime Blotter.
And this edition takes us to the latrine.
I don't know why this is a thing, but apparently, whenever you're using a public bathroom in Southern California or Northern California, check for hidden cameras.
So gross.
For more, here's ABC 10 in San Diego.
After discovering a hidden camera recording her in a market bathroom on Sunday, Rebecca Johnston told me...
How is that somebody's fetish?
Ever since the internet became a thing, bizarre fetishes are now something that the rest of us are aware of.
And told me she felt a pit in her stomach. And while she spotted and removed that camera immediately, not every device is that obvious. And if you're not paying attention, small cameras can be recording you while hidden in plain sight.
It was absolutely sickening.
Rebecca Johnston was celebrating her birthday at Balboa Park and stopped by a nearby market to use the restroom. It was there, she says, she found a camera.
I don't even want to know the target demographic that this creep had of the grocery store bathroom.
I want to take a shower just after hearing about this.
It was there, she says, she found a camera hidden inside a cardboard box with a hole cut out of it. Her and her boyfriend called 911 and then reached out to ABC 10 News to break the story.
I mean, there was a pit in my stomach.
It's far from the first time a recording device was hidden in plain sight here in San Diego County. In December, Carlsbad police found a camera in the restroom of a popular shopping center. And in April, I covered the story of 4 women taking legal action after they discovered their alarm clock and charging block were secretly recording them.
Oh, boy.
Can't you trace these devices to whoever it is that's using them and enjoying the contents that they're producing?
Hopefully you can. Although sometimes, it's transmitting the video, or sometimes it's just recording it, and then they come back to the location at some point and swap out the SD card for today's footage.
I see.
Unfortunately, they're extremely common.
You can buy them in many places, all kinds of hidden cameras.
Yes, all of this spy equipment is readily available on Amazon, as well as a whole bunch of other things that you can use to commit crimes, like Wi-Fi jammers.
Tom Ham and Bart Santos both own investigation companies that identify hidden cameras.
They're made to look like every common device you could ever imagine. And that's what makes them almost invisible to the average user, is they've been placed inside of things that we're used to using on a daily basis. So just by that familiarity, they become invisible.
But there's still ways to spot them without the high-tech equipment.
You have to look around for things that don't look.
You've got to do a screening of your stall before you even think about dropping trow.
Just think about where society has gone, where you have to search a stall for bugs before you leave yourself.
They look out of the ordinary, a statue or something that doesn't belong there.
Get yourself a really good flashlight. Take your time. Be systematic.
And ask yourself.
Usually people that have to use the grocery store bathroom are kind of in a hurry.
And also, you don't want to see what's there because then you won't use it.
And ask yourself the question.
Where would you put a camera where it would have a visible line of sight to what it is they're actually looking for?
So while you're sitting there on the toilet, you got to say, all right, where would be a direct line of sight to my you-know-whats?
Who is going to do that?
The San Diego Police Department is investigating the hidden camera claims in Bankers Hill. Ava Kirshner, ABC 10 News.
So there you go. A grocery store near Balboa Park in San Diego is where someone thought to put up a hidden camera because they wanted to watch what was going on in there.
And this is why, and I know people think I'm crazy, I avoid public restrooms at all costs.
I mean, there can be several reasons for that. This is just one of them.
There's nothing good in there. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And right now it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
I know.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And Randy, the e-bikes have made the blotter yet again.
Get this. Somebody in San Francisco is just sitting in his car. And then an e-bike crashes into him. The e-biker claims it's his fault. And then a mob of them start beating him relentlessly.
Well, that's another reason why everyone hates the e-bikers.
For more on these jackass kids, here's ABC 7 in the Bay.
It was a normal Sunday drive for John Hidalgo through Santa Clara until it wasn't.
On my left side, I have a fractured rib number 12, and my number 2 lumbar vertebrae was fractured. You know, it might not look like I'm severely injured, but, you know, I am in pain.
It doesn't look like you're in pain when you've got broken ribs, but believe you me, he's in excruciating pain when he does anything.
He's going to need to go to the chiropractor and get a ring dinger.
Hidalgo says his car was hit by someone on an e-bike who ran a red light. A larger group also on bicycles arrived and blamed him for the accident.
Again, how was this his fault?
Because they're teenagers and their critical thinking skills are awful.
And somehow when you give them a de facto motorcycle, they turn into a little monster.
Hidalgo found this video of his attack on social media and posted it to his account. It shows the group brutally beating, kicking, and jumping on Hidalgo and destroying his car.
I was just fighting for my life, you know? I mean, you don't really have time to think. It is unbelievable, but it's starting to become kind of the norm now.
Yep, this is what e-bikes are all about. You thought they were about saving the planet? No, they're about teens turning into little biker gangs.
An adult having a pack of teens go nuts on him. You know what this reminds me of? Remember that episode of Seinfeld when Kramer was in the karate class?
Oh, yeah.
Hidalgo believes this group was part of a ride-out, an informal bike gathering where riders take over streets, sometimes doing dangerous stunts. Our cameras captured video of another ride-out on Highway 101 in San Jose, bikers completely slowing traffic behind them. We've also reported on other ride-outs that turned violent, including one where a man was attacked near San Francisco's aquatic park.
It's disheartening when you
don't hear a whole lot of good stories about e-bikes. They're only used to irritate people.
And it's one of these things where it's just teenagers who are totally out of control. Where are the parents? Why would you buy one of your kids one of these bikes, and then provide zero supervision? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, the whole point of buying them the bike is so you don't have to spend time with them.
That's true.
It's disheartening when you think about innocent people that are getting affected by this. The next time it happens, are they going to kill someone? Is somebody going to be tired of what they're doing and run them over?
Santa Clara police say they are investigating this incident, as well as others like it throughout the city.
We got to put a stop to it. When people are getting injured and violent crimes are happening, I don't think that's too much to ask for.
Well, unfortunately, California's criminal justice system doesn't do anything to juveniles. So maybe we have to go civil with this. Maybe he needs to lawyer up and sue the parents of every single one of those snot-nosed brats.
Wouldn't that be great?
Hidalgo says
if you buy an e-bike for your kid, you should be held financially responsible for all the damage they do. There are some cities that are actually working on ordinances like that. They're doing that in Oceanside.
Hidalgo says he was lucky and worries the next person may not be. In Santa Clara, Dustin Dorsey, ABC 7 News.
So there you go. Just the latest tale of e-bike kids doing all kinds of destruction. How many cars have these e-bikes taken off the road? Oh, 0? That's right.
Well, and how often do we do stories where it involves a pack of them beating someone senseless?
In Hermosa Beach, it happened when someone had the gall to say you're going too fast.
Here's some interesting breaking news. 87-year-old Congresswoman Maxine Waters says that she's running for re-election. Because, of course, why not?
She'll win.
Listen to this, though. Democrat Mila Rahman, who was elected to be the Carson City Clerk back in 2021, has just filed FEC paperwork to run in California 43 against Maxine Waters.
She getting primaried, she'll still win.
She's getting primaried.
She wins that district in like 80-20s every single time. It doesn't matter.
But that's against a Republican. If another Democrat runs against her, who knows? That's how Swalwell got in. He ran against Pete Stark, who had been in Congress since Hector was a pup, overstayed his welcome, lost his mind, and Swalwell was able to win that seat.
It would be interesting if that's what knocks out Mad Max.
Crazier things have happened, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that one for you. All right, that's going to do it.